I'm so excited to be having another conversation with a certified mastering the brain game coach, Lori Gallen. So glad you're here today. I can't wait to chat.
I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what life was like for you before you took the brain game.
Before the brain game, I would say I was at the whim of everything. My emotions. One thing that we always say a lot is, we aren't at the whim of our emotions. And now through the brain game, we know how to handle them.
Yeah.
And prior to the brain game, though, I realized how much of a people pleaser. I was always looking outside of myself for love. And thanks to the brain game, though, I realized how far back, a little bit of inner child work that I was always, striving to get that from my dad, who had been a drinker. And it was just amazing to me to see how the choices I made in my relationships stemmed from all of that. And I realized, like I said, in a lot of my posts, I feel like I was always on the hamster wheel. I was always spinning, or even just letting my emotions, spending the weekend in bed in tears over, silly little things. But at the time they felt like a mountain. Like you say, there are no mountains. And so it was just, and then right before the brain game, I was single after 20 years and starting on my own, and which was exciting, but sad. And it was just such a ball of emotions. So yeah, it was a little crazy, but
a little crazy.
yeah, but it was
good. Back there, right?
Yeah.
So you go through the journey of taking the brain game for yourself and working with a coach in doing so. And I'm curious, what is life like for you now that you've gone through the brain game?
It is amazing. And we are human. So, we're still going to have those emotions and feel them, but it's just having the tools that that the brain game teaches was just life-changing for me. And I think just the awareness piece of it, the forgiveness, knowing that we can pivot, and the whole entire program was just it's unbelievable. And now as a coach, it's it's amazing.
I love that. And I love your words, knowing that we can pivot, right? Because I think so often if we're caught up in the whim of something, if we're at the whim of what's happening in the world, or at the whim of our own emotions, or at the whim of our numerology, or whatever it might be, we feel like we don't have a choice in that, and that we just have to ride it out. And I love that you use those words, that we have the choice to pivot, that we can change our patterns. No matter what happened to us when we were little, we can always choose differently.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to become a brain game coach?
Well, I've always been, I've always loved to learn. I went, I'm not afraid to take a leap. I've been a full-time real estate agent I say every 10 years, I kind of reinvent myself. And after being in corporate America and an executive assistant to the top line, our company was sold. I became a real estate agent full-time. I went back to school. And then another job went, and I went back to school, I think at 40, and became a registered dental hygienist. And then after practicing, my body is broken from it because I had a spinal surgery that didn't go quite as well as they had planned. I went back to school and got my bachelor's. I'm just in the brain game with the math and the science. Numerology was what first attracted me to joy and to everybody. And then the science behind the brain game still blows my mind to this day. And so when I took the brain game, and I just knew I had to become certified, because I, the learning side, and the certificate just means, like I said, I think more than my bachelor's degree, because it's real life, and it's the 25 years of books and self-help, and it just blows it all out of the water. It I don't know, it's amazing. So I knew I had to become a coach and just share it with the world.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you. I appreciate you carrying the dream out into the world.
Yeah.
So you go through, in order to become a brain game coach, you go through brain game boot camp. And I'm curious, what was that experience like for you to go through that boot camp?
It was amazing, because my beta student was actually one of my best friends,
Mhm.
and she's had a lot of uh, trauma in her family, losing a nephew at 15. And so she doesn't have a lot of beliefs. Like, she's not a woo-woo universe person, or even God, or anything. So I knew it was going to be not a challenge, but it was good for me to learn to teach with her, because it was just a great experience. And she ended up taking away so much more than I ever thought she would, and implementing it every day, and talking it. And she's got a 19-year-old daughter, so she can I think that's one of the biggest things, is how people can use this in their family dynamic. And so working with her it was amazing. Plus, it was good, because it was like, every time I've been going through it now again, I still get something more from it. So
Yeah, I love that. And
yeah.
I think that's one of the key things of boot camp, is understanding when you teach brain game, you're taking it to a whole nother level, and
Mhm.
you're constantly learning. You're not just spewing out information, you're actually walking the journey with them. I think that's so key. I love that. So
Yeah.
you go into boot camp and you go to teach that very first session. Never taught it before. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I do think I queued before. And it was both. It was excitement. It was scary. The night before, and I was, I made all my notes, I'd go back, and I'm like, all right, just key points, and even just trying to make sure I got the key points.
Mhm.
And as I went, it was nerve wracking, and I don't typically like to get up and speak in, front of large crowds or things like that. I've done it, but yeah, it was scary, but it was so good. And having her in, it was just, yeah, once I got going, and then even a couple of the sessions, I actually, I had done the channeling with Joy, and some of it just channeled through, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was so wild. And I said to her, I said, Jen, I said, I think I just channeled that. And she was like, yeah, I think you did too. So it's just, as I keep doing it, I just want to keep, I think I just want to stay in the flow and just keep getting the word out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So beautiful. So you walk your beta client through a 10-week process and you get to that final session. What was going through your mind at week 10 when you were completing that journey with her?
It was bittersweet, absolutely bittersweet, because I didn't want it to end.
Hmm.
You hear 10 weeks and you think, oh my God, it's such a long time, but it went so fast, and there was just so much that it was just amazing. And to, like I said to her, I mean, if, we do it with our family members or friends, to just, I let her know, I'm like, don't take this personally. I said, I'm your coach right now. I am not trying to be hard on you, or, I want to help. So it was, but then it was exciting, she finished it. So it
Yeah.
was great. And I see her often. So a lot of times she'll be going through things, I tell her, I'm like, just tell me to be quiet if I need to, because I'll still like brain gamer through it. And she's like, you're absolutely right. She goes, oh my gosh. And she can, it's just,
I love that. I love that. And, as brain game coaches, we tend to just speak the language because we
Mhm.
start living it and breathing it. And
Mhm.
I see that happen in my own life all the time too, right? I'm constantly like, I'm being your coach right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experience with the business in a box, the training in boot camp. How was that for you?
That was amazing. Especially having I had started my um, a baking business, Twisted and
Mhm.
Delicious, making sourdough pretzels and scones, and that was totally on a whim. So I loved all the business training pieces, and it really, I mean, for somebody who's had no experience in a business, it is like you said, the business in a box,
Yeah.
and it's so clear and concise, and um, it's just you did a fabulous job. That is such a that is like I don't know. I think the brain game, and that is like its own little separate entity that is just as priceless as the brain game.
I love that. And you're not the only one who's said this of being able to translate that business training into other businesses
Mhm.
where it's not always about the brain game and we can translate all of that work into, we've got Ariana who's doing dog training, well, human training, but dog training.
Yeah.
And you can translate that business training into any business and it works. That's what I love about it.
Mhm.
It's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, what is it? I mean, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to know what's the passion behind teaching the brain game? What is it that drives you to teach it more and more and more? You've got a new round starting, and I am assuming you're going to
Mhm.
just keep teaching it.
Yes. Yeah. And for me, it's just seeing the awareness and the transformation in my clients, and um, seeing those light bulb moments that they get, and they're doing the work. I'm just applying the information, and just to see I think it's those aha moments, and to see things that may have troubled them from the past that are so deep. um, the first 4 weeks it's it's work, but it's good work, and like we said, a lot of programs will bring it all up to the surface and then leave you hanging, or and then it just fills all back up again. And I feel like that's what I've done over the last 30 years, and where the brain game just takes you through it, and it just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
And how the stairway to freedom, I talk to that about people to people about that so often. I'm like, I went down to Fairfield University to a group of 13 girls because I became a Reiki master or practitioner, and I did Reiki on them, and I told them about that step because they were studying for finals, and they were just so inquisitive. And I said, there's two pieces that you don't have in your to-do list. I said, and I'm going to tell you what they are. And they were just like, wow. And they're like, we never thought of that. And it's a Catholic school. So I
Yeah.
was like, just let God come in. I said,
Yeah.
and it's just, I don't know. You find it is a passion. It's like so deep inside of me, and it just bubbles out. And I,
Ugh.
I want to share it with.
Right? Oh my God, I have goosebumps. And I love that. That's like that piece of there's two things missing on your to-do list. Do you want to know
Yeah.
what they are? I love that line. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So, Lori, thank you so much for having this conversation with me
Thank you
today.
so
I
much.
love that you're moving this work out into the world. I think this is so important just for every human to be able to
Mhm.
understand how to human because we all have a
Mhm.
brain, right? And how to play that game. So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I want to end this conversation with one last question.
Mhm.
What is your dream for the brain game?
My dream is for the whole world and just everybody to experience all that it is, and to live it and breathe it and share it, and bring it through generations, after us. Um, and that's for me. I mean, I think of my nieces, and my nieces are having babies, and just just the world that we can create, and the cohesiveness, and even just the warm and fuzzies with our brain game coaches and our training. It's just such a beautiful compartment and just way of
So
life.
good.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Dream. Thank you for moving this work out into the world. You know, my passion is for brain game to be a household verb, and I can't do it without coaches like yourself.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. For anybody who is wanting to connect with Lori and take the brain game through her, if you're resonating with her energy, we will make sure that you have a link to get a hold of her in the show notes. And if you want to become a brain game coach, there is a link to book a call with me and to apply to become a brain game coach. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Cindy. Love you.